First and foremost, all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Abba Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai Mashiach. And this video is titled, Stop Using Paul's Letters and Opinions to be Fat or Lazy. And just, to make excuses for yourself, basically, in that context. And when you deal with Paul's letters, we understand that Paul's letters are spiritual commentary, which his letters are very powerful, but it's spiritual commentary. And before we jump into the lesson, I want you to write down these two definitions, or at least if you don't write it down, make sure you have it, in your brain so you can look at it, what it means. I'm going to read it to you. The first one is subjective. Based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions, right? So subjective understandings change depending on the circumstance or the feelings or emotions of the person. Now, I want you to focus on the next one is objective. Objective and subjective are different. Objective, it says of a person of their judgment, not influenced by personal feelings or opinions, considering and representing facts. So the objective is something that's a fact. It's not based off opinions, not based off feelings. Doesn't matter. And it is what it is. So look at it this way. The wisdom scriptures, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, even Paul's letters, which are spiritual commentary and things that the other apostles said, not concerning the law and particularly, and not concerning Yahushua, things that, is good advice. Now, Paul's letters, if you don't follow some things in it, it's not necessarily a sin. It's not a sin. Like, for example, Paul said, I speak as a man. For an instance, it was an instance of something going on. He said, I speak as a man, not of commandment. Now, and there's another thing, like the head wrap situation in 2 Corinthians, or 1 Corinthians, right? For sisters wearing head wraps, it's not a law. Now, it's spiritual commentary and wisdom dealing with the particular matter. So when you do the wisdom scriptures, they apply for different situations. Even Paul said this himself. He said, some were saved by fear, some were saved by charity. There's a different time and place for everything. But we're going to dive into 2 Corinthians, because a lot of brothers will go to this scripture to make excuses on why they're not in shape to protect their nation, their family, their people, or why they are not having the ability to defend themselves, whether it be via firearm, a knife, sword, physical combat like a martial art, a fighting system, or just situational awareness. Having the ability to see problems and assess it and get out of it. Brothers will make that excuse and be very Christian-like and say, we're saying, just all faith and spiritual. Yes, it's spiritual and it's faith, but you have to that don't work. So now let me stop talking. We better get into these verses. So 2 Corinthians chapter 10. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. All right, we'll start there and we're going to end at verse 5. Okay, it says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. So we walk in the flesh, but we're not warring after the flesh, right? And again, this is good spiritual commentary. This is good things as Paul's saying. I agree with everything he's saying, right? For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God, to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts of itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. And what does this mean? The weapon, our warfare is not carnal. We're not fighting the United States. We're not fighting the government right now because we don't have power and strength to do this. Paul understood this. He was an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin, and he had Roman citizenship. He knew he should not raise up the Israelites to go to war with Rome. They would not win. We would not win. And the same thing now. But our war right now is to tear down the strongholds of things that's on our people. Christianity, Islam, spirituality, Kemet, right? All these different nasty things that we learn from the other nations. We are casting down these imaginations with the scripture, and thus saith the Lord, And every high thing that exalts of itself against the knowledge of God, right? The understanding that I am the Most High and I am above God, the understanding that our brothers have in spirituality and kindred. We're casting that down. That's against the knowledge of the Most High. And we're bringing into captivity every thought of that into the obedience of Yahushua and following what Yahushua Mashiach said. And some brothers will use this and say, well, I don't need to work out because, the kingdom is soon, is coming. Our warfare is not carnal. And y'all worrying about the carnal flesh because this is carnal. They'll use it as an excuse to be lazy, to be fat, to be, some brothers will even do it to be non-accountable for this situation. And this is spiritual commentary. This is not the law. This is not something I have to follow. What Paul is saying is something very spiritual. And I do acknowledge it and I agree with it. But now, if you were to say a brother is carnal for preparing his mind, his body, his physical flesh, or whatever it be, your mind is still a carnal thing because it's still, your brain is flesh, right? And you have your spirit, which is separate, but you have to have faith in works, right? And this is something that Christ said, because some brothers say, oh, you carnal, brother, you trying to work out, you trying to do this, you trying to prepare, do X, Y, look. So you saying Christ, Yahushua Mashiach is carnal. Watch this. The whole thing is about being prepared, having that faith in the works, because you can have the faith. You can say you saved by the works. But you got to stop using Paul's letters to try to not do what you got to do, man. To use it as an excuse to be fat and lazy. This is Luke chapter 22, verse 36. It says, and then he said unto them, and this is red letters of Christ, by the way, so brothers understand and see it. So why, it says, and then he said unto them, but now, he that have a purse, right, which in this King James English, this is not talking about a man walking around with a purse. It was like a satchel or a travel bag. Let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that have no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. So Christ is commanding the disciples that's doing the work. And when you're doing this work, you should have a sword. Go sell your garment or whatever, and get a sword, right? It could be that could be in the context of a gun, a knife, a sword, an actual sword, a weapon. And from my own personal understanding, dealing with the spirit of what Christ is saying, I believe he's saying, like, you should have the ability to protect yourself, protect your people, protect your nation, protect yourself while you're doing this work, protect your brothers that you're laboring with in this truth. And that's not a carnal thing. That's something that Yahushua and Mashiach commanded of us. And brothers cannot use Paul's letters to have an excuse and say, well, these bodies is flesh, and man, I'm trying, bro, how do you know that we're about to leave captivity next week? Christ said, no man knows the time. For all you know, we could be in captivity for the next 50 years, the next 20 years, the next 10, the next 5, the next 3 weeks, the next 3 months, the next 2 days. So you have to be prepared regardless. And even during that time, your situation, you don't really 100% know. Knowing Jacob's trouble, the Most High might have it that you may have to do certain things in order to survive and make it. And during this time now, imagine that you're so fat and out of shape and full of excuses that in this time of now, because some brothers don't worry about now. They're worried about Jacob's trouble. These things can happen now. They can happen tomorrow. They can happen a minute from now. Imagine your children and your wife. If you love your children and wife, they get strangled in front of you. And you're too fat and out of shape and lazy, and you black out and get your ass whooped by whoever it is, whether it's a heathen or it's Jake's doing evil wickedness, and you get taken down and you're so out of shape and you're just passing out, blacking out, you can't do nothing. You watching your wife get strangled and your children. What type of man are you, man? You have to man up and gird up your loins, as the scriptures say. Stop making excuses and do what you got to do. You say by faith and works. You have faith in the Most High God, and He'll provide that way. And that way may be you being in shape and having to do what you got to do. Why would Christ tell the disciples to get a sword? What is the purpose of that? To protect yourself. Why would you need to protect yourself physically? And again, when you deal with the letters what Paul was saying, he's talking about, like, we're not fighting against it's not a military thing. We're not going to war with Esau and these other nations. We're not doing that because we're going to lose. We're waiting for Yahushua to come back. There's going to be a time and place for everything. Everything has a sanctioned time. Paul understood that. Right? Some are saved by fear, some are saved by charity. It's a time and place. Right? And some brothers say, oh, that's not a law, my brother. Because according to Deuteronomy 18 or 19, whatever Christ says is law, correct? Now, they might say that's not law, but Christ said that He commanded it to the disciples. Oh, it's not a law. brothers would choose and pick. They'll go to Matthew 22:9, right? Watch this. And say, oh, if you don't do this, you're not in the truth or you're not following the law. But we understand that, yes, you have to go to the highways and byways. That's a part of the command, what Yahushua commanded us. All men of Israel should be doing this, going to the highways, highways and byways and getting this truth out in any way they can. And the commandment that Yahushua subscribed was for you to have a weapon to protect yourself, to protect your family, to protect your nation. And it could be through your physical means. But back on the topic, time and time again, brothers will use a subjective way of thinking and go use a battle to be opinion based. You pull one verse from Paul's writings, well, in Proverbs it says this, well, and then now I go to Psalms, well, in Psalms, and there's a back and forth battle. For me, that's nonsense. I like to stick to a more objective approach and things that make sense. So brothers will use a lot of the wisdom scriptures which apply to different circumstance depending on the situation, which, is, they're defending their cause and debating their cause. But a lot of times some brothers use it as an excuse to do what they should do instead of doing the hard thing to do. That's something that we all got to check our spirits on. I had to check my spirit on that. But because the law, we understand that's an objective thing. Now, the wisdom scripture sometimes is subjective. If you don't follow a wisdom scripture, it's not necessarily a sin. It may be unwise to not follow it. Or Proverbs might say something that's slightly different than Ecclesiasticus, but it's both the same way of handling it. It's both going to get the same outcome, per se. Let's say Proverbs gives you a different way of handling your wife, a certain way with something, and then Ecclesiasticus gives you a different method of handling it. But the same outcome is, they're both going to have like the same outcome. That's how the Bible works. But it's two different methods that work. It just depends on the circumstance and what's going on. Now, something that's objective, the law is the law. It don't matter who it is, wife, etc., like whatever is, can't eat pork, gotta wear the fringes, gotta, wear your fringes. No mixed fabric, no mixed fabric. I mean, it's that simple. So brothers got to stop using Paul's writings as an excuse to be fat, lazy, to be unable to protect your nation, your people, your family, and yourself. Brothers got to stop that. And if you calling me carnal, you calling Yahushua Mashiach carnal. See, he told brothers to go get a sword. That's carnal. I'm trying to be as the Messiah is. I'm trying to be how he wants us to be. We are a people of intelligence, and we are also a warrior-like people. Yes, everybody doesn't have a warrior spirit, but you should also have the basic means to protect yourself. We have scholars, we have doctors, right? We also have warriors. A government, if we are the government, Israel, right? Our people, we're not all going to be the same. You're going to have brothers that have a warrior spirit, some are doctors, some are intellectuals, some teach the scriptures basically. Right? It's a different body, different lots. And the whole point of me going to stop using Paul's letters to be fat and lazy and not prepare yourself, because you should be prepared for Jacob's trouble. It don't matter if you're old or young. It can help you. Being able to run 10 more minutes longer than you can now will help you, trust me. In a life or death situation, you'll wish you had it. Especially when you have to protect those around you that you love and care for, and you want to continue doing this work with. And you want to see your family live and be great, and see your people live and be great. Right? And the whole thing goes into being prepared. According to Genesis, it all ties back. Being saved by faith and works. Your faith is evidence of your works. If I have faith that Yahweh will protect me, I will show my works and prepare for when a situation happens. So I have faith that Yahweh will protect me, right? And that spirit and that faith that I have in the Most High and that prayers that I gave to him, he may give it back into me. And the prayers that I prayed to him, he might put it on my spirit to go get gun training, get martial arts training, karate, boxing, kickboxing. My spirit to just study psychology, to have situational awareness, to see what's going on, right? Or even just to be a fitness guy, just be in shape, or have better health with my food or what I eat. Stuff that we struggle with, Black, Hispanic, and Native American people, the Israelites, the Bible. So those are things. It's all about being prepared. You see this going all the way back to Genesis with Noah, right? Let me show you something real quick. I'm gonna read one more script. I'm gonna read like two more and end this out. Genesis chapter 6. verse 13. It says, "And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth." So the Most High is going to destroy the whole, like everybody that's on the planet, except for Noah and his family, right? And Noah's sons and his daughters, right? And his wife. "Make thee an ark of gopler wood. Rome shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within, without the pitch." And I could go farther. You could read the rest on your own, the rest of chapter 6. But the whole point is that Noah has faith in the Most High. We understand this. He's a righteous brother. He has faith in the Most High. But he's doing works that Yahweh was commanding him. He's building an ark for the destruction of what's to come, to survive. And that's the same thing we're doing. Whether you're preparing mental awareness, you're getting down a martial art, a fighting combat system, learn how to use guns, knives, how to cook food in certain environments, etc. It's not carnal. This is in the Bible. We have to survive. Our ancestors were survivors, right? And brothers are just using, like I said, Paul's letters and some wisdom scriptures they put for their opinion, depending on the situation, to be fat and lazy. And brothers got to stop that, because if you don't protect your family, your nation, and people, who will? Who will, man? You got to step up. And just to prove real quick that we're saved by faith and works, because it's a very Christian-like thinking, right? Brothers saying, "Oh, you got to be spiritual and just have faith, man." Don't matter, man. That's very Christian-like. It's Christians think like that. You got to have the faith and the works. Like it was a popular story, right? The quick story, right? I'm going to go into it. So there was a man that got stranded on the island. 3 boats came. He prayed to God every day. He had faith. And they all said, "Yo, man, what you doing? Come on, man." He said, "No, I'm good. I got faith. I believe in God, man. I got faith." Saved by faith, right? He dies. He goes to the Most High. He sees the Most High. The Most High, he says, "God, why didn't you save me?" The Most High said to him, "I sent you 3 boats to come help you." And I mean, that was on him. He believed that he was saved by works and just the spirit. It's a combination of faith and the works. And your faith is evidence of your works. So you will do things to make sure you survive and do what you got to do for your family, your people, your nation. Stop making excuses, man. Because if you don't do it, who will? Every day that you sit and you waste your time getting weak, the enemy is getting stronger. And you got to overcome the enemy and destroy them. James chapter 2, verse 17. Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone. So faith without works is dead. You got to have that faith in works. And this is the last scripture, the whole point. You got to still strengthen your body. As you're strengthening your mind in these scriptures, don't forget to strengthen your body. Healthy body is a strong mind, and they all correlate. A strong spirit, you got to have a strong body too. If you have a strong spirit, you got to have a strong body to maintain that body. Vice versa. Right, and this is Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus 30 and 15. It says, "Health is and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth." To have a strong body in a life or death situation, or just in general, to be able to breathe and walk, you know, it's above all the money you can have in the world, all the wealth. So the whole point of what I'm saying is, brothers, you got to train, you got to get in shape, and show me the evidence of your faith through your works. That you love your people, you love your wife, you love your children, you love yourself, man, you love your God. Because what did it say in the scriptures? The Most High he's a God of war, or a man of war. So are you going to step up and do what you got to do? With that, stop being lazy, get to work, man. Shalom.